Hello and welcome to Nan Loves Food. Today I'm going to share with you a very special recipe that I just found on the internet, but it sounds so good. We are making hot collard and artichoke dip with bacon. Yum. And we're gonna make it in one of my very favorite, very undersung kitchen appliances, the Hot Logic. So let me tell you a little bit about the Hot Logic. This video is not sponsored, by the way. I just really love this product. So basically this is a Hot Logic Mini, and it looks like just an insulated lunchbox, but there's a heating plate at the bottom. Forgive mine, it's a little dirty because I use it literally all the time. I used it last night. This is absolutely perfect for reheating lunches, which is what I use it most often for, reheating anything. It also can function as a kind of a miniature slow cooker. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a 9-cup Pyrex. We're gonna cook up some bacon, we're gonna cook up some collard greens, and we're gonna throw this dip together, and then it will heat through in this Hot Logic. This is the perfect like game day snack, because with one of these it will stay hot for the whole game, which is like, I absolutely hate going back for more food and the food is cold. This stops that from happening. So let's get into the recipe. So I am frying up about a pound of bacon. I probably won't use all of this in a dip, but I figured it wouldn't hurt to have it cooked, because let's face it, bacon makes everything better. So we're just gonna fry this up and add the collard greens. So I've got the bacon cooking on the stove behind me, if you can hear it. I love that like poppy crackly smell. And one tip, when you're making bacon, I always reserve the fat. So this is the grease that I poured off of the bacon, and I will use this again. It'll stay in the fridge for a couple of weeks and be totally fine. So the next time I make a green vegetable, like I think we've got some Brussels sprouts in there, instead of coating them with extra virgin olive oil, I'll use this. So this is free, plus number one. It's also delicious and imparts extra flavor. So a lot of people just throw this out. That makes no sense to me. Use your bacon grease, it's delicious. So if you're new around here, I don't really follow recipes. I believe that recipes are suggestions to be used with what you have on hand, what your tastes are, what you think things should be like. Like, they're just suggestions. So a lot of people, when you're cooking, now this is different than baking. Baking, you need to follow the recipe to the letter. When you're cooking, you can be free as a bird. And honestly, that's one of the things that I love about cooking, is modifying and switching up recipes to make them work for me. So I am loosely following a recipe from Taste of Home, which I will link in the description. So if you want to follow along exactly according to their recipe, go for it. I'm just loosely following what they're doing. Okay, again, we are eyeballing this recipe, so we're just gonna go for it. I do have the recipe printed out here, so I am referencing it, but like probably not following along too closely. So this recipe calls for a package of herb garlic spreadable cheese. I am using the Great Value chive and onion cream cheese. This stuff is really good, and it's so much less expensive than like the fancy cream cheeses by a pretty significant margin. So we're just gonna throw most of the tub. The recipe calls for 6 ounces. This is an 8-ounce tub, so I'm just gonna approximate what about 6 ounces would be. We also need 1 cup of sour cream. Again, we're just gonna toss some in there. We need some mayo. It calls for 3/4 of a cup. That seems like an obscene amount of mayo to me. So we're just gonna do a squeeze. If you do not have a strong mayo preference, it's probably because you haven't had Duke's before. Duke's mayonnaise is so far superior to every other mayonnaise on the market. If you have not had it, go get yourself some Duke's. It's the best. It's calling for a cup of grated Parmesan, so we're doing that, give or take. Some sprinkles. It's calling for a 1.5 cups of mozzarella. So this says on it that it is, 2 cups. So we'll leave about a half a cup in the thing. We're gonna go ahead and give this a stir. I did leave the cream cheese out for a little bit so it would soften. So I got that all stirred up. I took 1 can of quartered artichokes and I ran my knife through them so that they'd be a little finer than the quarters. And I'm just gonna dump that in here as well. I am just cooking the collard greens in the same pan as I cook the bacon in. And I'm going to add a little bit of this all-purpose seasoning by McCormick. This stuff is so good. It's got the salt and the pepper and the garlic like it says, but it also has it has bell pepper, lemon peel, parsley, and garlic oil. And that just makes it so good. So we don't need a lot of salt because we have so much salty cheese, but we're gonna give the collards a little touch of seasoning anyways. So I don't actually know how many ounces of collard greens I have here because these are from my garden. But, you know, use what you got. I'm sure this recipe would also be fabulous with spinach or with kale. Just cook it down the same way. The recipe does not call for this, but my chefy instincts are telling me that we need to add a little bit of vinegar to this very rich dip. So I'm gonna throw in some red wine vinegar because that was the first thing that my hand hit when I went into where I keep my vinegars. We'll just do a couple of tablespoons. The greens are done. I didn't totally cook them all the way through as I would have if I were just gonna eat them. But since these are gonna heat through in the dip, I'm not too concerned about having them cook through. I just wanted to have a little saute on them. We're gonna use the whole pound of bacon because why not? All right, this looks and smells delicious. So now we're just gonna put it in my 9-cup Pyrex and throw it on Hot Logic for a couple of hours to heat through. Yum. We're gonna put the lid on this Pyrex dish. I lied to you, it is a 6-cup Pyrex, not an 8-cup or a 9-cup. I know because it says so on the lid. So this lid is actually made of silicone and glass, which I really like, especially if you're using it to reheat like I am. All right, so it has been several hours of smelling this deliciousness in my kitchen, and we are ready to get it done. So I am just going to try it out with some tortilla chips. The recipe specifically called for naan, which I think would be amazing if you had some, you know, warm bread to scoop this up with. Warm flatbread would be amazing. So I came across this recipe because I was looking for something else to do with collards. Like I said, I'm growing them in my garden this year, and sauteing them is delicious and very healthy, and that's kind of, you know, the general stir fry direction is what we've been doing with them. And that's all well and good, but I was looking for something, you know, a little indulgent, and this certainly fits the bill. So let's open it up and see how she tastes. So the Hot Logic Mini has been hard at work. And here we are. Oh man, does that look good. Look at all that bacony goodness. Now, if I were gonna have company over to give this a try, I would probably throw some extra mozzarella on top and throw it in the oven and broil it for a few minutes. So you get that bubbly brown cheese on top. I can't even say that without my mouth watering. This smells delicious. Let's give it a taste. The texture on this is delightful. You've got the sauteed greens plus the artichoke. I think the difference between that like melted green, like the sauteed green, and the artichoke is gonna be awesome. Let's see. Oh man. This recipe is a keeper for sure. You definitely get the bitterness of the greens. And honestly, there's a little bit of vinegar from the artichoke hearts, just a little bit of vinegar. So that bitter with the richness of all that cheese and mayonnaise and sour cream is balanced really nicely. I do think it was a good idea that we added that extra splash of red wine vinegar. I might even do a little bit more of that next time just to make it even more balanced. But man, this is good. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you liked it, please give us a thumbs up. If you're not already, subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of our YouTube family. Thanks so much for watching today. We'll catch you next time.